look down here real quick at the yellow boxes. So right now your average commission sounds like 3%. That sounds like a pretty fair number.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm focusing on the off-market stuff, it'd probably be around 5. But I mean, for sake of
Yeah, just trying to be conservative. And it sounds like
yeah.
you have like one deal right now that's about to close for 3%. We can keep 3%
Mhm.
average. If that deal's for 1.3, why don't we try to change this to about 1 million? We can obviously change this as
Mhm.
you start closing deals. What's your company split right now?
Right now, as of the current date I'm at, 75-25,
What's your personal monthly expenses at home?
about 25 a month.
2,500 bucks.
Mhm.
Okay, great. And then how much cash would you like to have in your checking account added to your checking account? So from wherever you're at now, you don't have to disclose that, but just whatever number you have now, how much more would you like to have in your checking account at the end of next year?
Keep the 100,000. I mean,
Okay, great. An extra 100 grand. Okay, cool. So what this will do here is to calculate, is saying based on all of these numbers that we just plugged in, you'd have, it's saying that your goal should be $205,000 for next year. You have to close 7 deals at $1,000,000 at your current compensation structure. So this tells you exactly what you need to break down. And then it'll even say here, roughly on a quarterly basis, it's estimating, based on my estimates, you need to be doing roughly 17,000 calls a quarter, which means per 90 days, call it about 5,700 calls a month. If you do, backwards math, you take 5,700 divided by 20 working days, it's roughly 285 calls times a 10% ratio. You need to do 28 conversations a day, 2 to 3 leads a day. Offers written. This is saying that because this is only the reason why this is skewed here is saying every month you need to write up about 17 offers a month. The reason why this is skewed is because of your deal size, right? Because if your deal size was $4 million, you'd only have to write 4 offers a month, right? So because your deal size is only $1 million, it's saying like obviously to make sure that we close on 200 grand worth of deals, because we look at it like of the 17 deals, I'm saying I'm estimating basically roughly 10% of all deals. Now, obviously as time goes on, you can structure this and make different adjustments and start saying like, okay, well your conversion ratio isn't 10%, it's 20%. You can start making adjustments. Because what'll happen here is that this is just giving you rough estimates of what you'll have to do in order to achieve results. And it's very conservative. It's saying you should roughly be prospecting somewhere between 3 and 7 hours a day at the very beginning of your career here. That makes sense. And then what you'll do is that every single week on this other weekly tracker, you're just going to plug in your name here and you're going to fill in this information, which is similar to the dashboard. And you're just going to plug in how many calls you're making every day, how many conversations. It'll total everything down here. And then you just put the totals here, right, in your actuals. So then you can be like, oh, okay, for the month of January, I had, let's just say 5,800. My actuals for conversations was 410. My actuals for leads was like 38. Anyways, you can just start totaling all this. And then it'll break down for you as time goes on to see how on track or off track of your goal you are. Cool. So all you really have to do is just follow the process here, right? So, and just keep in mind the cool thing with commercials that like monthly, obviously we all like to get paid. Like I'm excited to one day maybe get paid every day, but honestly, like I still look at my business even to this day by quarters because deals get pushed all the time. So it's like, if I look at any one month, I can be like, oh, I'm the greatest thing in the world, or I can say I suck, right? Like, even to this day, we're like, you can have a bad month or a spectacular month and it's just because deals get pushed. So we average quarters. I would say like, okay, your goal should be roughly $1.7 million in deals at 3% commission per quarter. That's it. And if you just follow that process, 1.7 at 3%, you're going to be making your 205K minus taxes and minus your personal expenses. You'll add an extra 100 grand in your pocket at the end of the year. This will be the process. I'll share this link with you so you can kind of mess around with it and kind of get a feel. But this is the part that I would be paying attention to: the calls, the conversations, the leads, the offers written, and how many deals accepted. That's what this is. Otherwise executed, of course. How many you need per month to be on track. Okay. So this will just be your benchmark. If you want to take a picture of it, you can, or I'll send you a copy of this personally later. Any questions on this so far?
Not really. And then, I mean, it's kind of the same thing I've been doing with expireds and whatnot, tracking my KPIs.
Yep. So this will be the best way to track it and kind of give you an idea of like, okay, this is the new level. This is like your new standard of where you need to be. Because the big thing that happens at the beginning of your career, and obviously, look, I'm 10 years into it. My numbers are like, I need to be making 250,000 cold calls a month. Now, obviously, you start looking at numbers like that, and you're like, okay, well, I can't clearly personally do that. And that's where you start realizing, okay, to hit certain benchmarks, you need to build a team. So like, and obviously for right now, that's not the goal, because I think anyone can achieve somewhere between 8 and 12,000 calls a month if you really would like to. Anyone can achieve that.
100%.
Yeah. So especially with a dialer. So anyways, like this is going to be your new minimum standard. I would tell you, even just personally, when I'm just talking with an average agent, I'm typically looking at 2 leads a day, 1 offer a day is the way we look at it every day. Okay. Really quick breaking it down, 2 leads a day, 1 offer a day. At the beginning of your career and probably for the next 90 days, you might have to do 3 leads a day, 1 offer a day, just to kind of keep you in a mindset that will start building your database to a place where you feel comfortable. Because just like you were even mentioning with a lot of leads, and I've been having several conversations, like every lead you generate isn't going to be a good deal, right? And the reason why deals fall apart is because the deal actually sucks. And you get a happy-go-lucky buyer who happens to have a few $1,000,000 in their bank account and maybe they're not super seasoned, and you bring them a deal and they're like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. And then they all of a sudden can't get a loan at a loan to value anything above 60%. There's a lot more work that needs to be done to the property, and all of a sudden the renovation budget went from near nothing, hypothetical, to $300,000, and now they're like, this makes no sense, thanks. And this is why we try to, and what my biggest philosophy is when it comes to process is every morning we're prospecting for opportunities, seller lead focus only. I don't prospect for buyers in the morning. My first 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, when you're prospecting, when I say prospecting for sellers. We're looking for seller leads. We're looking for individuals who want to sell their property at a fair and reasonable price. That's the simplicity. Your entire morning is trying to generate, and when I say generate leads, I'm not counting buyer leads. Buyer leads happen because we're prospecting for seller leads and they do not want to sell. And then in that conversation, when they say, hey, Alec, thanks for calling me, but I'm not interested in selling. Thank you. You flip that conversation. It was like, I can totally respect that. Would you be totally against buying something if I found something that was somewhat similar to your property here, 123 Main Street, right?
I was going to say, that's how I've gotten every single potential buyer is exactly from that. And that was the moment I realized, okay, because most of these guys are buyers, especially if they've retail, multifamily, like industrial guys, whatever. But especially the retail multifamily guys, like they'll buy another one. 100%.
When we say prospecting, it's only sellers. We do that till roughly 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Depending on your pipeline, I would tell you that probably for the next 90-ish days, maybe even 6 months, that you might push it to 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the absolute latest, and then spend from 2 o'clock or so, or whenever you can achieve this goal of the 3 leads minimum. Because we're just trying to pack your database with leads nonstop and trying to find the good leads that we know we can sell. Because just because someone says, yeah, I'm open to selling my property doesn't mean you're going to transact. Even to this day where my team generates 50 leads a day, right? Where even to this day, I know I'm not transacting on 50 leads a day. That doesn't make any sense, right? We're closing on a very small fraction of the amount of leads that we generate because not everyone's anywhere near remotely serious or open to selling today. Right. So,
or at a reasonable
price, database, right?
Yeah. So a lead is a person who wants to sell flat out. Now, when you say offer,
yes,
like your own letter of intent with the intent to acquire and or wholesale.
The second phase of your day, which is anywhere between 1 or 2 o'clock when that starts, right, is we're flipping now to the mindset of a buyer, right? Of saying, I now need to transact on these properties. How do I do that? And now it's all about offer generation. I split basically the way we teach it is lead generation and offer generation. That is the simplicity of commercial real estate. It is really boils down to those 2 pieces, right? You're generating leads to sell, and then you're generating offers on those properties. And that's it. Now, obviously, people do it in all sorts of ways. For us, let's say in the morning you generate a warehouse property, 20,000 square foot property, brings in $200,000 a year in gross income, nets about 100. They want $2 million. It's it's $100 a square foot. It's outside Detroit, outskirts of the area. Guy wants a 5 cap. What an average agent will do is that they will schedule a meeting next week or whenever they can. They go to the property. They pitch them the idea of listing the property for sale. They get a listing sometimes at $2 million. And then they realize that all the offers that are coming in are $1.2 million, $1.4 million, and the $2 million is absolutely outrageous, but the seller's not actually interested in selling for anything less than $2 million.
So what we do, a whole day driving out there.
Well, not only did you spend a whole day, you spend a bunch of money on marketing the property, a bunch of time marketing the property. Now you spent 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks dealing with the seller that actually 5 weeks ago you could have found out they actually were not interested in selling for anything less than $2 million, right? So what happens?
Buyers and let them tell you
exactly. So what we do is within our first 24 to 72 hours of working with any lead is we try to solve that problem. What is their number, right? The entire purpose of offer generation and the speed of doing so is to get an answer from the seller. I just want to know what's going on here. Are we going to transact together or are we not? I want to know that answer as fast as freaking possible versus waiting 4 weeks, 5 weeks, sometimes months when it comes to listing a property for sale. So the way we do it is similar to like you were mentioning, is we either write up a letter of intent, or you can write up a PSA. We actually have a custom built PSA specifically for certain properties. You can easily just write up a letter of intent. It's the safest way to do it. And I write it in. What happens is, and I'm going to say how I do it. I'm not telling you how to do it this way, but let me just share how I do it. My agents who are generating leads have a letter of intent in my LLC. So they're the agent and I'm the buyer.
I like that even more.
Okay. So structured a little bit differently. Not everyone, obviously, if you're doing it for yourself, because I buy a lot of properties and I'm looking to buy a lot of properties, but I also act as an agent on my own. So there is that dance at the very beginning where if you're just a solo agent, yes, you would have to create an LLC with a LLC to buy real estate in that you would also not be putting a commission on the deal. Where if you're like, I don't typically put myself as a commission and the buyer. That doesn't make any sense, right? If I'm calling, if you've heard my scripts 100 times, I call as an investor. Hey, I'm an investor in the market going through a 1031 exchange. I'm going through one right now. And we try to acquire the property.
Do you say that when you're not going through a 1031?
Of course. So the opening line, yeah. I happen to be going through one right now anyways, but I'll write the LOI in my name, no commission. What we'll do is that on that same exact similar property, where $2 million brings in $100,000 net, I would be offering like 800 grand on it, where I want it at a price where I know all day long that I could sell this property for substantially more than I'm buying it for today. Okay. Now look, on the off, like the very rare chance are they accepting my offer, but what I am doing, exactly, I'm price anchoring them. Exactly. So I'm price anchoring them, number one. Number two, if they happen to say yes, I'm getting a fantastic off-market deal. And then number three, what it does is that now I'm getting a counter. All I want is a counter. So instead of having to wait for another buyer to gather enough information that makes them feel comfortable to make an offer on a property, and what I teach is learning how to evaluate properties super quickly so that when you're making an offer, you can make an offer with confidence that like, hey, if they accepted 800, I probably could sell this deal tomorrow for at least $1 million, maybe more. Keep in mind that if you find a deal that good, which I've found several, have bought several, and I've wholesaled others, you now have the control. You don't need any money. Matter of fact, if you ever find a good enough deal, you can always call me, and I've said this to everyone, you can call me and we can partner on any deal you want, and we can wholesale the deal. We're getting in contract right now for $2 million. It's a 120,000 square foot warehouse in Illinois, and we're probably going to be flipping it for somewhere between $2.5 million and $3 million. Will be a wholesale deal more likely than not. We might acquire it, restructure it, raise the rents, and then sell it for $3 or $3.5 million. However, it gives us control, right? And gives us choice, more importantly, where now we have the ability to do what we want. Because think about it, this deal right now at $2 million, it's a slam dunk. However, I know that if I needed to, if I was in a pinch and I didn't have the money, I could hypothetically wholesale it the next day for 100, 200, 300 grand immediately, right?
Like instantly. Yeah. It's the type of deal that people see and just mouthwater.
Yeah. Like this is like, sure, I'll write you a check tomorrow. Thanks. Right. That's what we do when it comes to the LOIs. The entirety of the remaining part of your day, not only is now writing up LOIs on the offer or the leads that you just generated today, but it's now when you get a counter. Let's say on that same deal, 2 million, we offered 800. He goes 800. No way. Absolutely not. You're ridiculous. You don't even know what you're talking about. Whole 9 yards. He goes, look, the best number I'll do is 1.5 million bucks. Take it or leave it. I don't care. I don't need to sell it, but it's either 1.5 million or nothing. We just got the guy down $500,000 and we didn't do anything. All we did was write up a piece of paper and the guy came down 500 grand. And now it makes it easier for us to now transact on this sale. Where now, let's just say the 1.5 is actually fairly reasonable, right? And you probably could sell it for 1.5, 1.6. What you do now is that now you spend the time calling up local properties that have traded right around that same property, and you give them a call and say, hey, John, my name is Alec. I'm a local broker in the marketplace. I was just speaking with a guy down the block at 123 Main Street. He's actually looking to sell his property it's completely off market. We're going to be hitting the market in the next few weeks, but he wanted me to reach out to a couple of the local guys first. Figured it might be, a way to sell this property quickly. Just out of curiosity, if I was able to get you information of the square footage, the income, rent roll, some details about the leases, would you be able to get me an offer on this property, or is this something you're not interested in? And you do that 20, 30, 40 times, you're going to have 3 or 4 or 5 people who are going to say like, yeah, sure, I'm absolutely looking to buy another property. No problem. Let's do it. And you're going to be able to get some offers. Now, I don't know if you're going to get to 1.5, but that's the game. And now what we've done is that instead of taking several weeks, we do this in 48 hours. Now that same guy now receives 2 or 3 or 4 offers from us in 72 hours instead of having to worry about him getting a listing signed, going out and meeting the guy, taking a bunch of pictures, getting it listed on all these websites, dealing with a bunch of tire kickers. We go out and find the right people who want to make offers. We have all the offers presented. Now this guy gets an offer at 800 and then one at 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, whatever comes in at any range, and we try to get deals done as fast as possible.
I'm smiling because this is exactly what I want to do.
So, and look, and it's just
God.
rinse, wash, repeat. It's the same thing every day. It's very simplistic. And I want you to know when it comes to the investing piece of this, because we're coming up on time here, one thing I want to stress to you is the following. Right now in your career and for the next 12 to 24 months, the only intention you should have, right, which is not, hey, should I buy something right now? It's let me stack cash. Let me broker as many deals as I possibly can. Let me wholesale some deals if the opportunity arises, but let me get so freaking good at finding great deals and finding great opportunities for investors and learning about this process, mastering this process. It took me I think it took me 4 years to get invested in my very first deal of getting into the business.
After getting into commercial, or when you were still
No, just in general, in the business. Just in general. It took me almost 4 years to get invested in my first deal, but I knew getting to that deal, I couldn't lose money. That all being said, it's like, I'm telling you, especially right now, the cool part will be is like, imagine in 3 years from now, where like you will have the skill set, the know-how, the understanding, the knowledge of when a good deal comes across your plate like this to go, that's a home run. Yeah, like, hey, like I've got 300 in the bank right now. You got no debt. You're in a good place. Hey, hey, Henry, I just found this deal. Like I'll put down 150. You put down 150. Let's buy a deal together, right? Where like now you have that opportunity because of your understanding of the market versus every other broker goes, oh, actually, I know you said you're looking to sell it for $1 million. It's actually, you could probably list that for sale at 1.5. Why the would I say that? Like, I would it's never something I will ever say. It's like if the guy wants 800 and it's a steal at 800, I'm offering you 750 and let's do a deal today, right? And then we'll wholesale it for $1.1 million or something, right? Or we'll acquire it, we'll renovate it, and then we'll refinance in 3 years, right? Whatever it is, you'll have that understanding. Like it's about building that process and understanding and that knowledge for the next 2 or 3 years. It's not about how, hey, can I acquire property tomorrow?